From the streets of the Hamptons, piece of the mansion. I've been on the mission, take the knowledge for ransom. Had to free my mind, get a little expansion. Heard the hill ahead to triple your chances. From the streets of the Hamptons, piece of the mansion. I've been on the mission, take the knowledge for ransom. Had to free my mind, get a little expansion. Heard the hill ahead to triple your chances.
All right, welcome to the Hood the Healer Show. We're back. This would be episode 5, but we're gonna reset things. We got a new setup going on. We really respect y'all's support. We really do. Thank you. So we thought it was only right to step our game up for y'all.
Yes. And I'm excited about it. I appreciate you for even, helping me with this setup. So, I owe that to you right there.
Teamwork.
That's you show good, leadership, and you show that you are actually a good teammate, and I definitely salute you for that. Yeah,
absolutely. You came on, you didn't even ask questions like, "Oh, am I getting paid?" This, that, and the other. You was like, "I'm just down." So anybody who down to rock with me like that, of course, if we can step it up, let's roll, man. I hope it helps you in other ways with other things that you got going on. Really, I really hope it helps.
Yeah, but it definitely motivated me to want to add on to what's the situation. So, I could see studio monitors being in here and stuff like that. So,
oh yeah, I got mine. I love mine. I don't know if my neighbors love them so much. That's where that hood comes in, y'all. I'm trying. I got a neighbor who's a pastor. I ask him all the time, I'm like, is my music bothering you? And he looks at me, he's like, no, I just go in the other room. I'm like, dude, just tell me, I'll turn it down. Like, sorry, I'm trying. But
you ever consider it, that's a good thing.
But I know tonight's episode, we're going to talk about purpose and how you just said, I'm a good teammate. That's my purpose. My purpose is really to help people. But I just recently fully discovered that path. Like I used to overextend myself and I had to find balance. And in that balance, I'm finding my purpose. And that's teaching other people like how to find themselves.
Yeah.
How to be at peace with themselves.
Now, we are very similar in that sense. Like I feel like my purpose is to help people as well. Like I love, helping people. I'm on a phone every day getting calls from people asking me questions about health and wellness or relationship issues and stuff. And I had to get to a place where I had to find balance as well, because sometimes I overextend or, I'm self-sacrificial. You know what I'm saying? Like I sacrifice huge parts of myself in order to make sure that other people are good. And that's a gift and it's also a curse as well, because you also get to a place where you neglect yourself. So like what I can say about, just added on to this topic of purpose is when you find your purpose, you do have to find time to, make sure your cup is full as well. Because if you got an empty cup, you can't pour into others. And I had to learn that.
Oh, man, I emptied my cup way too much. I actually was writing in my book today that I'm working on, and that was part of what I was actually writing about is how I lost myself in my mom's addiction, because that's the basis of the book. And I started talking about in there how my whole life became consumed with making sure she was okay and alive. And she's only been gone for 3 years. So I'm still readjusting to like giving myself self-care, self-love, attention, and putting the energy on myself. Like that's been a whole process and a journey. That big journey.
Yeah. But I'm pretty sure like for all journeys, like, you at a place to where you can actually appreciate the journey. Because sometimes we thinking about the end goal and it could become, frustrating and also bring anxiety because like we so invested in this end goal and we often just don't appreciate the journey. So one thing I learned is like, go take the ride for what it is and enjoy it. It's like, when I fly on a plane, I like to look out the window because you're seeing the clouds and, you know, just seeing the sun and seeing little things like up close that you don't normally see when you're on ground level. And yeah, I'm going to Atlanta where it may be fun and I get to see my daughter and stuff like that. But the part that excites me is just being able to see those things along the way and appreciate them. Even if it's turbulence on the plane, like, okay, cool, I'm gonna take it for what it is. And then once we get past that little dark cloud and it's like the sun again and everything looks bright, you can say, oh, like, cool, yeah, now I'm a relish and enjoy this little time. I didn't enjoy the turbulence too much, but now that I'm past that, I get to enjoy the sun a little bit, the clouds, the puffy clouds and the blue sky, and just, fantasize or meditate a little bit or whatever the case. But I learned to just appreciate that journey. And even with, doing my business endeavors, just the highs and lows, up and downs, just appreciating that.
I learned without the lows, you really can't appreciate the highs.
Oh,
That
talk about it.
really like the ultimate. I will admit that I had a lot of great moments pass me by because I couldn't appreciate them because I didn't experience the lows that I've experienced now. So with hindsight, I could admit that I was ungrateful. I could admit that I didn't appreciate what I had in the moment because I was, as you said, thinking about the end game. I wanted something grander and grandiose, and those small moments, they didn't just, you like, oh, this could be better. I was always like, well, this is cool, but it could have been, instead of focusing on the fact that, hey, you've been presented with this blessing, this opportunity, and you should enjoy it. So
Turn this down a little bit. I'm gonna turn it down a little bit to see, but
that's cool.
let's see if this is good. Hold on.
No, that's fine right there.
Hold on, I'm gonna turn it down a little bit because it's still kind of.
Well, at least y'all know we still real on this show. We're not gonna change. All kind of crazy happen.
Yeah, we want to keep it. You got to keep it real. Like hood to healer. You know what I'm saying? That's where we at right now. Hood to healer. But yeah, when I think about purpose, right? Sometimes we look at it as something that we have to seek, right? Like, oh, I have to find it. But I just came to this conclusion that purpose, it actually finds you. At the right time. And but then when it finds you, you say, I always was this type of person. Like I always was a humanitarian. I always was that. Like, why didn't I notice that this was my purpose all along? Like, it's because, like, it reminded me of that those memes I see where it was a meme I seen of a Jesus figure, and it was a little girl. She was crying, and he had like a big teddy bear behind him, and he was taking away the small teddy bear.
Yeah, I've seen that second one.
Yeah, yeah, and it reminds me of that. Like, you tell God your plans, he'll laugh at it, because there's always a bigger plan for us, right? And we got this thing like, what, my purpose is going to be, like, you kind of decided, like, it's going to be, to, let's say, build homes and, put homeless people in it, whatever the case, like, because we always want to do good service, right? And then you start to live this life and you're like, oh, wow, well, my purpose was actually to build a whole center for little kids to just come and dwell, like, and you stumble across that, and then you find satisfaction in it, and it's like, bro, wow.
Look,
like,
I never interrupt you on here, but how crazy is it? So 2 things that you just said are, the alignment is nuts. So literally, when you text me and you were like, what were you doing? And I told you I was working on the document, I was actually watching Pastor Michael Todd at the same time of Transformation Church. And one of the most outstanding things he said in there was, you have to let go of everything else in order to make room for your blessing. And you just, and like, so the thing about the children and the space for the children, I just was looking at properties because Pastor Michael Todd said this is how he did it. and I just did this like 3 days ago. I found this property that I've went past 100 times in the last month, and I was like,
Mm,
I'm gonna put my logo on the front of it, and this is gonna be the first building where we get these kids. This is where I'm gonna create this safe space for all of these kids, and I'm gonna get these programs going for Save Our Families. So I
mm,
don't really talk about all of my businesses on Hood the Healer, but I have a
yeah,
nonprofit called Save Our Families, and
mm,
my whole goal is to be able to take I'm getting ready to go get a meditation certification, and I want
mm.
to bring these kids, and I'm gonna reel them in with video games and all that little silly crap. But y'all gonna do some meditation?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, inner work. You want to go play all these games and get exposure to all this different stuff that's fun? Well, you got to come and take the other classes too. And that's
mm,
how I'm going to get to this youth. And y'all, please steal the business model. Please steal it. Please help these kids. I don't care if you run off with the idea. Let's collaborate. But please have wholehearted intentions. Please.
yes, yes. I love that too. And oh, I'm hearing a. Are you hearing something? Everything good on my end?
It's good. I don't hear
All right,
nothing with
all right, good, good, good.
headphones.
All right, good. We good now. All right. So I was gonna piggyback off of that, like just giving more of ourselves, you know, and also when people think about purpose, like they think about this big extravagant thing, right? Like the biggest, mission there is. But some of us, some people out there may have these jobs where, you know, where you work at a school and it could be the smallest thing. It could be lunchroom lady. It could be, gym teacher, school aide, or whatever. And we're looking at these jobs and we're saying like, oh man, I'm going to have my own business or whatever the case, which is cool. But when you think about that child that feels great anytime you come to work, like when you come to work, they see you and it's like, hey, like Miss Kristy, like how you doing or whatever the case, and it's like that's a purpose as well. Like you that child could be going through things at home, and you just don't know what their life consists of, but just by you being in the building and them seeing and experiencing your presence, it changes things. And we look at that like it's nothing, but that could be a purpose. Your purpose
I
could
was
just
that
be,
child. I was
yeah,
that.
right.
And I think you mentioned like you do school security, right?
Yeah, I do both jobs. I'm a school aide for Department of Education, and then after school, I work at security for
Okay.
after school
So
program. I'm
one
around
of
kids all day.
the most influential people in my life for 7th and 8th grade was a security guard at my school named Miss Barnes. And like 4 years ago, I ran into her. She was standing outside of one of the worst high schools in my city and giving all the kids the same love that she used to give me. And I made my mom pull over and I said, "Look, I need to talk to her." And she goes, "Is that your old security guard?" I said, "Yes, ma'am. I need to talk to her." And the only thing I could tell her was, "Thank you. Like, you don't know what you did for me." And just the look on
Mhm.
her face to hear that, she was like, "Wow." I was like, You literally got me through some of the toughest times in my life." My mom was on crack. Like, I was losing it. I was losing my mom to the streets, and that lady, she could see it, and she would pull me to the side and just give me advice that young ladies need, especially when their moms aren't there, and she didn't have to. And that was one of those things where I learned that no matter what, you gotta be a blessing to everybody because you really don't know what they're going through.
Yeah, that's purpose right there. I salute her. She probably don't even know, and it's people like that don't even know, like, because when I think about purpose, I think about alignment. Like it's not a job. It's something that it doesn't even feel like work because you so deep and rooted into who you are and your significance to the world that you do it effortlessly. Like it's not even like something that you got to think about. It's just I wake up every day. I just want to make somebody happy. It makes me happy to make other people happy. And it doesn't seem like a purpose but it really is, like, and the reason why I keep saying this over and over repetitiously is because we got a lot of people out there that's struggling and saying like, I don't know what my significance is. I don't know what my will is to the world. And I just want to tell people to take a step back, look at your life, and think about all the times you made somebody smile. Think about all the times that you was on the phone with somebody and you helped them through a tough time. Think about the times where somebody didn't have and you gave it to them, and then that changed and made their day feel better. Think about those times and then pat yourself on the back for it. You are living your purpose. If everybody that has wind inside their lungs, the ground beneath their feet has a purpose. It kind of hurts me when I hear people say, "Yo, I don't even know my purpose. I don't know my significance." And I just say, no, that's because you're looking outside of yourself. Look inside of yourself. Live inside yourself for just one moment, and you can see all the goodness that you have done in the world. That's purpose. That's purpose right there. You don't have to have you don't have to have the biggest bag. You don't have to have the biggest house. You don't have to have the best job. Just you making somebody day. You putting $5.50 in somebody cup. You buying somebody a coffee because they were short and they left their bank card at home or whatever. You are doing the work. Pat yourself on the back for that and congratulate yourself and be proud that you're doing something amazing. Because there's a lot of people out here that's doing things destructive and you're building.
So many people are wrapped up in the social media image nowadays that they don't understand that they really are living their purpose, like you said. Not everybody is meant to be a millionaire. And that's just honest.
Yeah.
I'm going to put in a lot of work. And if I don't become a millionaire, I'm okay with that because I'm doing my purpose.
Yeah.
If for some reason I only reach $200,000 in my bank account and that's the most I ever make, that's fine. I'm going to live glorious on that $200,000 because I've lived with $20 in my bank account. I've lived with negative $20 in my bank account. So if you can't be glorious with $200,000, you really are looking outside for everything else because money is not happiness. And I can attest to that because, like I said, I've had none. And I still find a way to be happy. I still find a way to just go sit at the park and enjoy the sun beating on my face because I was blessed with another day. So it's that inner work. You really have to do that inner work. I really suggest that people try to disconnect from social media, even if it's just for a couple hours a day, and spend a little time with yourself. Grab a book. Actually, I'm starting a book club at the top of January. So if anybody wants to join the book club, hit me up. We'll get you in the book club. Let's learn some stuff and start growing in every capacity because that is our purpose. Like, you're always going to be a student, and that's what everybody needs to realize. If at one point in time you decide you have nothing left to learn, you're giving up on life. We just we have to continuously grow. Like right here, I literally just started this. It's one of the best books that I've hopped into in a long time, but I have like 6 more books sitting right here too. And I also just ordered 2 more books today. Like, we just have to keep absorbing that knowledge or we will get trapped in superficial ideologies, and we have to move forward from those. We are so consumer based that we are lost from our purpose. When we are focused on the material items, focused on wealth gain, we do get distracted from our actual purpose. I know people who have found their purpose and gotten very rich off of it and they do the right things, but then there are people who have strayed from their purpose and lost all of their wealth because they strayed from their purpose. So you can't base your purpose on a monetary value. Like you were saying, it's about the blessings that you pay forward to other people because it's bigger than you at the end of the day. The more you give, the more you receive. That's how karma works. the cycle of energy works.
Mm. You said something that really like made me think on a deeper level when you said something like you can get distracted from your purpose. That is big. That is huge. Like distractions is basically like the new norm. And I say that because we are granted with technology, and technology is a gift and a curse. I love technology because look what we're doing right now. We in two different states right now, and we are able to connect on a huge level to help people and to assist people in their spiritual journey and that's amazing, right? But you got people that life is empty if they're not on social media. If if their partner isn't showing them attention on social media, it's an issue. Like you can get the attention in real life, but that don't mean nothing if those people on social media don't see that. You know what I'm saying? Like, or yeah, I'm loved and I get 2-3 meals a day, and my family, my children love me. But if I don't got 10K followers, I'm pretty much nothing.
Man, I've never cared about a follower. When I first started, I really had like 20 followers for like 6 months. And I was like, 20 people are interested in me? Wow, that's groundbreaking.
Yeah.
Now I have like all of my social medias, all of my businesses, I have like a 20,000 people reach. And it's like, that's huge. And artists receive like fan mail and all of that. I've started getting fan mail and I'm like, this is weird. Like it's weird and it shows me like I'm really falling into my purpose, but I don't get absorbed in it because it's just giving me the fuel to go harder, to give the people more, to help the people like, okay, y'all are enjoying this content, let me give you more, because if you're growing from it, then I'm doing my purpose. But I can't let that go to my head because then
Yeah.
I'll get distracted like, oh, I got to make the best content this week so everybody's going to like it. No, I'm going to give you the real. We're going to
Yeah.
give these raw episodes. If we've got audio glitches, hey, here we are. If we've got video glitches, oh, I got a virus on my computer. Sorry, something
Yeah.
happened. We're going to give you this real. And we want you guys to understand that it's okay to be authentic in everything you do. Everything you do, be authentic. Like when you're finding your purpose, you have to be authentic or else you can't find that purpose. Denying who you are denies you your purpose. And
Mm.
I blocked my own purpose for many of years. Just gonna say it. Hip Hop Digital and 216 The Takeover, my original company that most people I'm networked with know me for. They were blocking my purpose. They were the opposite of my purpose. And
Mm.
it took a long time to realize that I was pushing out negative music constantly through my site. Now I had a man, his name's Silver B. Most people from my city and some surrounding cities know him. He's always been very conscious about cussing and things like that. And I wasn't in the industry but all of 6 months. And he looked at me, he said, keep it clean. So
Mm.
everything, all the interviews I did, things like that, I didn't cuss. As you see, I hardly slip up and cuss on here because I try to keep it clean for our viewers. But the music I was posting, it was the worst of the worst because that's
Mm.
what got views. Literally.
Mm.
Gucci Man, Young Jeezy, T.I., the worst of the worst. They got the most views. Everything that encouraged selling drugs and violence. And I'm sorry to name them three, but that's my
Yeah.
era and that's what I listen to.
Yeah.
And they encouraged me, like, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I sold weed up until I was 23 years old and I made money. And I have to admit this because there will be people who don't like the success I reach and try to tell my story for me, but I'll tell it for you. I got my money out the streets. Like, that's how I took care of my family. I took my grandmother's guardianship at 18, and I had to have money. I had to maintain. My mom was on drugs and nobody else was going to do it for us. So that's how I survived. And I couldn't bring myself to sell crack because my mom smoked crack and I saw what it did to people. So selling weed, I didn't see anybody doing nothing crazy for that. And I thought it was okay. But I'll admit it, I crossed the line. And it's one of the worst things I ever did that strayed me from my purpose. I started selling pain pills before I understood what opiates were. And it was one of the worst. I still regret it. And I only did that for like a year until I wrapped my mind around that I was basically selling heroin in a legal like form, even though what I was doing wasn't legal. It was being obtained from legal sources. People were getting them from a pharmacy and selling them to me, and I was reselling them. It's not an ideal living, but it paid my rent. It made sure that my grandmother could eat. When my mom stole everything out of our house, what we gonna do? So I fell into the wrong purpose, and I thought switching over to the music industry, okay, I was cleaning my act up. But then I realized like pushing that music, I'm really hurting our youth. My demographic, I looked at my analytics and I mean, I'm getting 100,000 views a week, 250,000 views a month. And I'm looking at my analytics and I'm like, my target market right now is showing the numbers of 14 to 20.
Wow.
Look at the crime rate. Oh, I have to move out of this market and I have to step into my purpose. And it was really hard to close Hip Hop Digital. That was my baby. That's my end. That's how I moved. That was my money. It was really hard, but God said if you really want what you deserve, you have to close that and move away from that. And I did. And I stepped into my purpose with Hood the Healer, Save Our Families, and I'm ultimately going to rebrand Hip Hop Digital as a media company that only produces our own content. We're going to end up making movies, documentaries, things like that. It's all going to be with a purpose. We're not going to feed you negativity because what you eat is what you become.
Yes.
And that is not just in the physical form, audio, video, what you read, you become that. You allow those things to shape your perspectives and your thoughts subconsciously. So really to align with your purpose, you have to focus on what you're looking at and clean it up. If you're constantly looking at things that are opposite of your purpose, you're not going to move forward in the right area of your goals.
Yeah. And you mentioned something and I want to add on to that. We as human beings, the human being side of things, we fall short sometimes. So it's important that you learn to reprogram yourself. So if you do consume something, and not only in the physical, like you said, where the physical would be like, what you eat and things like that, but the spiritual, if you like, watch something that you wasn't supposed to be watching and it's not therapeutic or essential to you spiritually, you gotta get back in line and reprogram yourself. How do you reprogram yourself? You reprogram yourself with, watching something positive or listening to a podcast that, they are targeting people that want and need more positivity in their life. Read a good self-help book, meditation. These are ways that you can reprogram yourself mentally and get yourself back on track. We fall short sometimes. Like Kristy always say, we gonna give you the real, the raw. It's not always glamorous. It's not always beautiful. However, you have to be your own coach at times, and sometimes you have to be your own worst critic. And you have to look within yourself and say, yo, what are the things that I'm trying to change? And once you discover that answer, then you could just make those changes. I always say the reason why I say things is so easy and simple, because you can always just do the opposite of what isn't working. And that's the way how you can adjust and make things work in your favor. Like, okay, I'm doing it this way. This isn't the best way. This isn't working. Let me stop doing that and do the opposite of that. You know, like for me, one of my main things, so I love to speak about personal experiences. For me, one of the things that I had to rewire was pornography. And the reason why, and I'm not trying to say that it's a bad thing. You know, I feel like it becomes bad when you are really, really, really consumed with that. Like every day you got to watch this thing, and
it becomes an addiction.
Addiction.
And that, like, my whole book is about addictions. So pornography absolutely is a valid addiction. If
Yeah, it is.
allow it to be.
Yeah, and one thing about that for me, it kind of, I would say, it kind of stumped the growth of my relationship, like my personal relationship, because you start to mirror the things that you see, and when you are intimate with your partner, you got to be attentive to them in ways where it's not rushing. You know, you got to be attentive to certain other areas. It's a lot. So, and when you look in the porn world, they get right to it. They're not attentive. Everything is so aggressive.
It lacks emotion and love.
It lacks emotion, yeah, and it lacks love, right? So, but I would say subconsciously, you start to download these things that you're seeing, and you don't even know that you're taking on this new idea of what making love is, and it kind of change your DNA structure without you even eating anything. It's all in the mind, and the next thing you know, you getting having problems in your relationship. Hey, babe, you're rushing and you're not attentive and da da. I personally went through that. So one day I decided, you know what? I'm gonna stop watching this. And when I stopped watching it, everything in the relationship got better. It's like I was more focused on her needs, what she liked, her dislikes. The human interaction part of things came back instead of me reacting something that I've seen. And you reacting these things unintentionally. It's just downloaded into your subconscious and you act it out. And that's what I learned about just your inner reality, your inner thoughts become your outer reality. That's when I discovered that. You know, so I say all that to say, you know, I use that reference, but there's other people dealing with other things and they don't know how to reprogram. But the simple solution is to always stop doing the thing that isn't working and then do the total opposite. And I promise you, you start to see better results in your life. That's just my testimony. And that's one thing I want to do going forward from Kristy, like is, you know, give testimonies from time to time. That's something I would like to do. So I wanted to definitely share that in hopes that somebody else maybe going through the same thing or something similar and just need to, and they don't know what to do and what center direction to even go forth into. And I just want to say, just make sure you have to reprogram yourself. And the best ways to do that is through meditation, it's through repetition. So consistently, even in positive affirmations, if you got to look at yourself and say, I am healing every day. I'm healing. Disease and illnesses is not part of my reality. And keep repeating these things every day, every day, every day. I do a 3-6-9 manifestation. So I do one thing that I want to focus on. I say it 3 times in the morning. I say it 6 times in the afternoon and 9 times at night. So if I say, I am attracting an abundance of money, I say that 3 times. I am attracting an abundance of money. I am attracting an abundance of money. I am attracting an abundance of money. I say that 3 times in the morning, say that 6 times in the afternoon, and 9 times at night, because what that does is it sets your intentions
Yes.
on what you actually want to bring forth into the physical world. And
Now,
that's something that you could do. Anybody can do that. If they say, I want to be a faithful individual, or I'm manifesting a partner that's full of love, respect, and kindness. If that's something that you want in your life, you can repetition can help that bring forth truth to your life.
now here's the thing with affirmations. It's two things, two parts. Number one, you have to really mean it. You have
Yes.
to just know it. If you don't mean it and you're really just whatever, I'm gonna
Yeah.
attract some money. Nah, you're not attracting no money. You
Yeah.
might find a penny on the ground. That's about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's all you're gonna attract.
Mhm.
The second thing with affirmations, how was I about to word that? The second thing with doing the affirmations is with the consistency. You have to
Mhm.
literally be consistent with it. You have to, as you said, in the morning, in the evening, you have to make sure that you are really feeding yourself these affirmations. You cannot just think you're going to do it once or twice and it's going to work. It will
Yeah.
not work like that. It's it's a power, it's a mind shift, and it's a power of literally like reprogramming yourself, as you were saying. So you have to be consistent, and like this, affirmations are also like things that you can say in the morning, like, I will love myself more today. I will
Mm.
accept my flaws. Those are the kind of affirmations a lot of people who are really lost and finding their purpose are saying. They're doing those things. Once you get more to where me and Truth are, then you're like, oh, I'm attracting all this money. I'm going to
Yeah.
get this bag. But when
Yeah.
you're starting on your journey and finding yourself, you have to start simple, because you have to start with you before you can attract everything else. You
Mhm.
have to get you together. So, speaking of these affirmations and meditations, me and Truth are going to actually start working to bring you guys some more of these kind of things and introduce you. I know Truth really loves his Tibetan bowl, and I'm actually going to go get certified. I already paid for it and everything to go get a certification in meditation starting
Yeah.
in beginning of January or something like that. I don't remember the date, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna really work to bring you guys a whole lot of value. You know, we want, and we're not going to charge anything. We're going to make some kind of group on Clubhouse. We will probably record what goes on in there and post it on YouTube for those who aren't on Clubhouse, because we know it's a private or a invite only. It hasn't been launched to the world yet. So we will make sure everybody can be a part of it. But if you are on Clubhouse, look up at Young Truth and look up Kristy F. Steele. I know y'all see the spelling of our names on the screen. So definitely come find us. We'd
Yeah.
love to connect with you. But seriously, we're going to switch up a lot of our format. I don't want to stray too far from our topic, but I do want to let you guys know we've got some guests coming in the next episode. We
Mhm.
have a young lady named Netta. I'm going to go ahead and save all of that for that next episode, but she's going to bring you some ultimate value. We're going to start talking about like trauma, how to identify trauma. I think we'll basically touch on trauma 2 episodes in a row, but in different manners, because I really want people to start going inwards and identifying what is actually preventing them from their purpose.
Mhm.
And that's something I had to do. In 2016, I saw my mother overdose, and I had to stand there giving her chest compressions for 8 minutes while I waited for an ambulance. I didn't see my life flash before my eyes, but I saw hers. And that was the scariest thing I ever had to deal with, still to this day. And I've been hit by a car. I've had guns in my face. I almost got shot in my face. I don't know where the bullet went. It should have hit me in the face. The glass busted right in my face and the bullet disappeared. But watching my mom in that state, knowing that she could die if I didn't react appropriately, it did something to my psyche. It messed me up. And I had to go inward to fix that. It triggered so much childhood trauma that had been left behind. Like, I guess I had abandonment issues. My mom went to prison when I was 4. My first real like thing with abandonment was my grandmother. She almost died, and I about lost it. She was gone for over a month in the hospital for rehab, and that wasn't new to me. That was foreign. I was used to seeing my grandmother every day, and it really started a spiral of things. Then my mom, after prison, she still was in and out of jail, and it just became like this cycle. And I covered it all up. I never dealt with it. So in that moment, when I saw what I thought was my mom about to die in front of me, every one of those moments flashed before my eyes. I was just seeing her life and my life together just replay. And I'm like, dude, I can't lose you now. Like, we've got too many conversations that we need to have before you go. And it just really made me center myself around finding my purpose. And I took myself to therapy. And I know we're going to bring race into this topic. I know in the Black community, therapy has a giant stigma around it. I'm mixed. I was raised in a white household. I feel like an outsider on these topics, y'all. So please forgive me. I'm trying to comfortably balance this. Being mixed in America is very hard. It is very hard to navigate this space. And it's uncomfortable. I know you can see it on my face. It is uncomfortable. But in the Black community, therapy is really just like being pushed to the side until recently. Charlemagne and a few other people, Dr. Jess, they are really pushing really hard for Black mental health. And I really feel like more and more people need to go and get a therapist. And I have one. If I could have two, I would have two. Like, my therapist, she is a Black woman. I can't trust other people with my problems right now. I can only trust her with all of my issues. I talk to her weekly. When I miss an appointment, she goes above and beyond to get me in, to keep me on track, because mental health is very important when you've been traumatized.
Yes.
So, in order to work on your purpose, deal with your trauma. Do not run from it. You can still talk to God and see a therapist too. I do.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that. That sound like some merch. You can still talk to God and see a therapist too.
Cool. That's gonna be our first shirt. I'll make
Yeah,
a
yeah,
design
let's do that.
shirt.
Let's do that because I see that on my body right now. I see that on my body.
Oh, man. I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I think it just come out of my head. But seriously, I really want you guys to consider professional help if you're in a dark place. Don't be scared. If you're scared, you can always personally reach out to me. I will help you find a therapist in your city. I will take the time to look one up, send you a list, get you a directory. I actually retweeted a directory on my at Hip Hop Digital Twitter today. I know this will be a week from now, but you can go back and find it. You
Yes,
can look it up. It'll be on there. I plan on building Save Our Families out with a whole bunch of resources, and I'll link them up on Hood to Healer in due time, and we'll really start getting you guys more content. But to get back on purpose, look at what you love to do. What is it you love to do?
Mhm.
So, Truth, what is it that you really love to do? What's that one thing you can't see, living without?
The one thing that I love to do, I love health and nutrition. I love cooking. I love turning traditional soul food into vegan style foods. I love herbs. I love studying them, going on YouTube or Google just because I heard a new herb or a new name and seeing its benefits. Like I'm a herbalist at heart. Like I just love nature. I love um I love things in its natural order. I love technology and stuff too, but I find my solitude in being out in nature, looking at the natural order of things. When it's springtime, I'm excited to see bees go and get pollen and and bring it back to their where they harvest things at and create honey, whatever they do, what they do. I love seeing that. I love seeing, when the trees start to grow back, the leaves start to grow back on the branches when it's springtime. I like seeing that. I love to see the colors change when it's fall. Like I just love everything about nature, and I guess that's the reason why I'm so heavy into like the herbalist thing. I love plants. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be a lot of plants in this apartment if our windows wasn't in the back. Like our windows is in the back, so we had like the direct sunlight. You probably see a whole lot of different plants in here. I just love doing that. So me loving that, I just take that and then I implement it into my life. So like I'm like my own lab rat. Even when it comes to seed vegetation, like sea moss and bladderwrack and all those different seed vegetation, just studying those. And the thing that stood out to me most and what made me like it most is when I started to get into minerals, and I started to discover. I didn't discover it, but I discovered it for myself. You know what I'm saying? That a lot of the mineral contents that's in the earth, we also possess that. Like we also have that. So like minerals like copper and gold, like these are things that people like wear on themselves, like chains and stuff. But we also that's also a mineral content inside of us as well. And of course, we hear about calcium and iron. Those are the most common, but there's like hundreds of minerals that our body possess, and those minerals are actually in the earth. Like I'm excited when I hear that. I'm like, wow, like we are really made up of the same things that our earth carries and that the universe carries. Like even atoms, like that's in stars is within inside of us as well. Like that stuff is exciting. So for me, just studying those things, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is what our body needs to thrive. I found purpose in sharing that information with my peers and my friends. Like they call me about different things that they go through. Like not to put names out there. Like I have friends that's dealing with different health issues like hypertension and diabetes, or there's a lot of different things. Like and I consult them like free of charge. Like it's good, like because they call and they reach out to me, and I'm looking at it like wow, like you guys could have did anything. Y'all could have went on Google. Y'all could have, but y'all called me. Like like I answered a phone call yesterday. I normally don't answer numbers that I don't have on my phone, but like something like answer it. So I answered the phone and like, yo, what's good? I'm like, who's this? I didn't know who it was. And he told me his name, and he's dealing with about 3 different health issues right now. And I'm like, wow. I'm already working with one of my friends that he had hypertension most of his life, and then he was taking medication for the hypertension, and that medication then affected his kidneys. So now his kidneys is failing, and we changed up. Like I gave him a new diet plan on what to eat. I call him every day to see how he's doing, like what you ate this morning or whatever the case. And what I like to do with these people, we go on Google together. And I want to say this because this is like purpose, right? So so we go on Google together, and like I know he has the hypertension, so I'm like, I want you to do a favor for me. I want you to do something for me. He's like, what? I say, go on Google right now and just type in channel blockers. And this is what I do to get people to actually trust in what I'm saying and let them know that I know what I'm doing. So I say, just do this on your own. Go on Google and put in channel blockers. So he said, oh, it's like a list of medication. I said, do you see your medication on that list? And then he's like, yeah. He told me the name of the medication. And I'm like, all right, cool. I said, do you know why they call blood pressure medication channel blockers? And then he's like, nah. And I said, well, basically what that does is, I said how the heart and the kidney works. There's a tube or a valve in the heart where calcium goes through, and that's what's going to allow your heart to pump the oxygen to all the other organs like your kidneys and stuff, so it can function the way it's supposed to. And he's like, wow. I'm like, well, do you know what it's 11:11 right
Yeah.
now? So I'm like, so you know how you know why your blood pressure actually gets regulated? He's like, how? I'm like, because what the channel blockers do, it blocks that tube so the calcium can't go through. So being that the calcium doesn't go through, your heart is not working, is not pumping as hard or working as hard because nothing is going through to make that
Exactly.
relationship work. And then the blood levels just go down. So now your blood pressure is down. But guess what? The calcium that's needed to go into the heart through that tube is not going there. So now that's making your kidneys fail. And then he's like, oh, I see.
Yeah.
He's like, wow. And I'm like, and what happens realistically is the doctor is going to keep you on that medication, but they're going to also give you another one just for kidney function. And then it's going to be a domino effect. And now you're going to it goes from one medication to two medications to 3 or 4. And
Yeah.
I'm like, and I said, and you're too young. He's younger than me. Like, I think he's about 30 right now. I'm 3 years older than him. So he's like, I bet. So what can I do? I said, well, the first thing you got to do, I'm like your the tissue in your body, your cells, not even the blood yet, because when the blood can't get rid of any toxins, your I would say the tissues start to absorb them. So it's still in your body. It didn't leave, but the body doesn't know what to do with it. So it just clinks on the cells, which could cause like cancerous cells.
That's how you become sick, is when you're holding in all of your waste. And you're speaking very much so the truth. That actually happened with my grandmother, from one prescription to another, from one health problem to another, because those prescriptions were not actually curing the problem. They were suppressing it and only making the problem worse. So you have to, like you were saying, the diet plans, the actual sea moss. Like, I'm on sea moss and bladderwrack mixture myself right now, and I have your elderberry syrup. So that's how I'm like. I was really overweight and unhealthy for these last like 8 years. I went from being an average of, I've always been on the heavier side, but I went from being like 180 to like 450. That's 2 people.
That's a jump right there.
And
but the thing I admire is that you actually take initiative, and some people don't do that. I always say I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry, like I just want to say this because like I want to salute you about that, because what happens is a lot of times people don't take that initiative. I always say it's not the health issue, it's not really the medication most of the time. It's the lifestyle, and that's the thing that takes people under. So I definitely salute you for even making that change, because it's not easy. It's not easy at all.
Yep. Speaking about lifestyle and diet, that's how I put on all the weight. Let's be transparent. I was too busy getting high, smoking weed, playing video games, trapped in my depression, eating all the junk food. I'll be honest with you, I hated water. I thought water was the worst tasting thing in the world. You always catch me. You're about to know I'm from the Midwest. You'd always catch me with a pop in my hand. So that's what we do.
It's like the soda with pop.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said you're gonna know I'm from the Midwest when I come with that one. But we always had to pop it, and that's it. I didn't really have water. I thought sink water was the most disgusting thing in the world, because I would put it in a cup and you could just see all the stuff floating in there, and I would be like, "That looks like milk." Like I literally got a glass of water out of the sink one day, and I held it up to my mom, and I'm like, "Why does it look like milk?" And she was like, "No wonder why you won't drink it." I'm like, "Because I look at it before I put it to my mouth, and I can't do it." So I discovered to just go buy bottled spring water. I was like, that's the best thing I can do. Just spend the money, get the bottled spring water. And that was literally my first step. I noticed when I wasn't drinking all the sugar, I had less cravings for the sweets. So, excuse me. I'm just trying to give you guys some action steps. I know that when I first started Hood to Healers, like YouTube and the IG that it all started off on my health journey because I really was super overweight and I was just trying to motivate myself to be consistent. I'm not going to lie, I did not have plans for this show when I launched that channel. I had plans to not be fat. That was
I like that.
I had plans to not be fat and hopefully take other people on the journey with me to motivate them, to let them know, hey, no matter how big you've gotten, if you start today, if you start now, you can start knocking those pounds off. And I easily went from a 4X shirt to a 2X. I'm happily wearing a loose 2X shirt right now. And I've still got a lot weight. I mean, look at these chubby cheeks. I'm not done, but I went from literally 2 shirt sizes in 4 months because I put in the work. I cut out the sweets. That's where I started. Water and pop and junk food. I cut that out. Once I got that under control, I started cutting because I was on the vegan path and I started eating meat again. I messed up. I'm back to pescatarian. I'm only eating fish and shrimp. I haven't bought any chicken, turkey burgers in months. I've been doing really good with that, but I'm moving forward into the next steps, which is I'm going to be cutting that out too. It's going to go back to just the black bean burgers and, whatever else I want, but
Yeah.
you got to have action steps. And so if you just literally start with one thing at a time, don't overwhelm yourself. That's how a lot of people get distracted is they try to do too much too fast, even with finding your purpose. One step at a time.
Yeah.
Somebody recommended a book. I'll have to bring it up in another show, but I watched a video that changed my whole life recently. It said stop making goals and start creating systems of achievements. And what they were saying is basically when you set a goal in mind, you're always focused on the end game. And you mentioned this earlier. We can't focus on the ending when we're still in the middle. So if we just focus on one step at a time, we're more likely to actually achieve that goal realistically because we won't give up. We're only focused on the small step, not the ending. And so many people want to rush to the end that they get like discouraged in the middle and quit. But if you really just set small systems of achievement, working towards that end goal, it makes the flow so much smoother.
It definitely does. I totally agree with that. Just taking the small steps and focusing on it right now. And we definitely need to have an episode about that, like just the focusing on it right now, and chopping it up about that. But that's my spew at the moment. Like on my end, I feel like I got everything I needed to get out, and I hope that everybody. I don't like to use the word hope. I would just say may everybody receive the message in its true intention. Because I don't hope that the bills get paid. I got to make sure. So I don't like to use the word hope. But so may everybody, receive this message in its true intentions and in its rawest form. That's my spew. I don't know about you. If you got anything you want to add?
Good. Just www.hoodthehealer.com. We're going to be making some updates and changes. Like I said, go follow at Young Truth. You can follow us at Hood the Healer. If you want to personally follow me, it's at Kristy F. Steele. Check the descriptions for all the links. We will be getting some merch together rather soon. I'm going to be having a side conversation with Truth, how we can get some CMOS and stuff over on the Hood the Healer store eventually.
Yes.
We're going to get some things going on. I want y'all to start leaving us some more comments and feedback so we can get more information that's based on what you guys want. So really interact with us and we'll interact back with you. We appreciate all of the support and y'all stay blessed until next week. All right.
All right.
From the streets of the Hamptons, piece of the mansion. I've been on the mission, take the knowledge for ransom. Had to free my mind, get a little expansion. Heard the healer had to triple your chances. From the streets of the Hamptons, piece of the mansion. I've been on the mission, take the knowledge for ransom. Had to free my mind, get a little expansion. Heard the healer had to triple your chances.